Good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy Monday. It's election day. Good morning, good morning. I'm kind of excited. Um, we really want an outcome, right? But will we get it? Are we going to be sad tomorrow morning? Are we going to be happy tomorrow morning? My gut feeling is we're going to be happy. We're going to be happy. I'm happy now, so let's take advantage of it. And if you're watching this live and replaying it the same day, we have an election special tonight. So tonight you can actually check out the election coverage. So I'll be starting at 6 p.m. Going to be a tired guy. Going to be a tired guy. I'm sure of it. But just give me 1 second and I'll share this with you. Actually, I'll save that for later. So how are you guys this weekend? Did you have a good time? Did you get some sun and rain? We got a little bit of rain, lots of sun. It's actually quite nice out here. And good morning, Ellen. I just have so many friends around that I kind of forget where you are. And I forgot I was chatting with Ellen on Twitter this morning. And of course, I know who Ellen is. When she's in my chat, I know exactly who she is. But her profile's in Nova Scotia, and I'm trying to hunt down some people to be on the show from the East Coast. I'm like, hey, you're from Nova Scotia? Do you want to be on the show? And she's like, no, I'm Ellen. I'm from Ontario. Like, oh, Barry? She's like, no. I was just on fire this morning. But thank you, Ellen, for playing with me in Twitter this morning, and thanks for playing with me this morning in the chat. I appreciate that. It's lots of fun. And good morning, Padge. You were just here. Good weekend, I hope. Yeah, we had a good one too, right, Padge? We took the boys to a church picnic where they got to hang out at a Bible camp. They're not in the Bible camp, but they might be in the future. But we got to hang out at one today, yesterday. It was a good time. Really good people around here. Really good people around here. Hey, True. You are the guest today. I'm not going to be too late, brother. Happy election day in Alberta. Thanks, True. You do your thing. You arrange with your work, all that kind of stuff. Pop in when you're ready. You'll pop on my side. I'll pull you when you're ready. So all good, all good. And very productive, Pad. So yes, thanks. You? Yeah, she did a good one too. Our weeks for guests are filling up quickly, folks. So this week is already booked. We already know who's coming this week. But next week is also already booked. So the full 4 days of guests, and then we're having a special day on Wednesday of that coast to coast Canadian stuff. It looks like I have a full plate for that coast to coast stuff. So starting at 6:10 Mountain Time, I'll have the first guest from the East Coast on, and then make my way across Canada. Every 15 minutes, we'll be swapping guests, and it looks like we'll have 2 guests per region. 7 regions, so we'll have the East Coast, we'll have Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, BC, and there will be 2 guests from each of those regions, giving us an update on what life is like where they are. Let us know the truth, and what this will end up being, hopefully, is a regular weekly show. So every week on a Wednesday, you'll be able to hear from Canadians coast to coast to hear what's going on. Let's keep this truth going. Let's keep this conversation going. And we've got quite the list of guests. For example, Andy Lee from the Real Andy Lee Show. She's agreed to be part of the Alberta one. We have Azario, who's in our chat all the time. He's agreed to be part of the Ontario one. We have Zach, that we met just last week, Zach Schmidt. He will be part of Saskatchewan. We have Pastor Adam. He'll be part of Manitoba, et cetera, et cetera. So as people confirm and as we get this booked, we will let you know. But make sure you mark June 7th, Wednesday, June 7th. That's going to be a very special episode. It's going to be nothing but us Canadians having a good old conversation about what's going on in our country. And by that time, of course, the Alberta election will be done. We'll see what we're going on with that. And I'm sure Mr. Trudeau will give us other talking points to have as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if you're in the East Coast, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI, any of them, hit me up. I'm looking for at least one more, but let's try and get a couple people signed up for that one. It'll be a lot of fun, I think. My garden is shaping up finally. You go, Ellen. You grow that stuff. We picked up some tomato plants, zucchini plants. Someone from the church just gave it to us. It's the kind of church we go to. They're really, really cool people there. What was Patch saying? She giving away our secrets? Oh yeah, that's right. The fruit trees in the bushes finally went into the ground this weekend, just in time for the rain afternoon for the rest of the week. Yeah, that was a couple days of work, wasn't it, Patch? We had to pull the tractor out. We had to put the auger on it. We had to dig some deep holes. Um, but about a dozen trees went into the ground. And yeah, we were working right before church, doing everything we can because the rain was coming, and we succeeded. So good job, Patch, and JJ and Jacob. Everybody helped. Good morning, Mayor. Good morning. Nice to see you, Scott. Very, very nice to see you. I hope you enjoy this episode, Scott, because True is somebody who I think is a very inspirational person who's doing really, really good things. He's putting himself on the line. He's taking some risk, but it's all for the right reasons. So I hope you enjoy the show, Scott, and maybe you feel a little inspired by what True's doing. And so connect, send a video. Maybe you can help us out on finding out what's going on. Share the stories. Good morning, Eleanor. Catching alive. Yay. I know we're early. I know all that, but I like the idea of early because it allows me to get on with the rest of my day. And you can always just replay the live. So if you come a little bit later, you can replay the live. The only thing you lose is the ability to kind of chat with us. And good morning, Motown. Really, really nice to see you. Thank you so much. For some of you in the Calgary area, planning something in July. Not sure which week yet, but there's quite a few people down in Calgary, including my friend here, Motown. And so I'm thinking of taking this trailer. It is a trailer. It's on wheels. It connects up to our truck. So we're going to pull this thing down to Calgary and do a week on the road. Start in Calgary like Monday, Tuesday, go up to maybe Red Deer, go for Wednesday, come over to Rocky Mountain House for Thursday, maybe go up to Drayton Valley proper on Friday. So maybe a show on the road. So if you're in any of those areas, Calgary, Red Deer, Rocky Mountain, or Drayton Valley, or surrounding areas, there's a chance we can get you on the show. We can come and you come down and see the show being recorded. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But it's a trailer on wheels, so let's take advantage of that. Andy Lee is down in Calgary, so there's a good chance that maybe we'll get her to come on in studio. So that'll be cool. That'll be cool. And then Ellen, awesome. Envious, always order too late for the ones I want. Yeah, Paula was on top of it. I think she was in contact last year. We got the first batch off the first truck that came across. Paula has been on top of that orchard. And good morning, Scott in Motown. Thank you, Patch. And then, yeah, I'm excited. Truth rocks. He does. He does. He even has another video from the Pickering City Council where they were passing some bylaws that definitely stepped on the rights. He identified that. One of the councillors identified that. But I'm going to save the rest of that for when he's here, because that is one of the things we'll talk about, is his appearance at the Pickering City Council. So, that's the end of my list. We're done, right? I am really excited about this election because it's almost like you can't really go wrong. So if United Conservative Party wins, Danielle wins, keep pushing for that solidarity, sovereignty. We'll make sure that she is now pushing her agenda as hard as she can because the election's over. If she was holding back at all, then now would be the time to let that go if she wins this election. So be pretty pleased if she wins. We'll see that agenda keep going, and maybe she'll be more willing to use her teeth after the election. If she loses and Notley wins, like on a policy level, that will suck big time for Albertans, especially rural. It would really suck. But what it might do is spur on the separatist movement. I'm not desiring separation. I'm really not. Just like in a good marriage, you're really not wanting it to end. However, it might be a pretty good leverage. It might be a pretty good way to get people to listen. And it might be a pretty good way to get more people excited about standing up for their country. So we'll see. We'll see. Look, I'm a silver lining type of guy. I'm a lemonade out of lemons type of guy. So whatever happens tonight, I'm sure we'll find a way to try and make a better Alberta for us. I definitely see a far more productive path with Danielle. And I definitely see a more um, energetic and unknown path with Notley. Stick around. We're going to have a whole bunch of people on, popping in, giving their commentary. A lot of people from Alberta, but we definitely have people from outside of Alberta joining us tonight too. So all my friends out in Ontario, um, you definitely should stick around because this can affect you, this particular election. Normally, provincial elections don't affect other provinces, but this one might be very special because of our sovereignty movement and possible separation movement. Because this is kind of the fork in the road for that. Are we going to zig, go to sovereignty, hold on, uh, maintain our rights, say thank you, but no thanks to Ottawa? Or are we going to zag and are we going to team up with Singh? We're going to have a very, very liberal mandate on our side on the policy level, and dig ourselves into a bigger hole, which I think will then cause a lot of people to say, I'm checking out of the Alberta system and I think we need a new one. But I'm not there. Okay, let's get through the election. Let's see what happens after that. We got a lot of good guests who have some good insight on that. So stick around. Let's see what we get tonight. Good morning from Edge of Thought Ideas. That's an interesting name. Edge of Thought Ideas. What's the difference between a thought and an idea? A thought is something you're pondering, an idea is something you can do. That's pretty cool, Edge. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. Maybe you're a friend of True. Maybe that's how you know him, and that's why you're here. But nice for you to be here. Thank you. And please do a like and subscribe, Edge, if you haven't done so already. Really trying to build up that presence so that we can um, get some more reach, do some more stuff with the show. We're really working hard for you. Good morning, Ali. Ali's our button pusher. He's our graphics maker, and he created us a new logo. And Ali, if you don't mind, just upload the logo to the graphics section of our studio, and I can pop it on the screen. Or you can pop it on the screen as our logo. Why don't you play with that while we're working this out there, Ali? Let's see if we can get that new logo up. And Eleanor, many are moving, if NDP get in, out of Canada. See, moving out of Canada isn't so easy. Just so you know, we're kind of our political prisoners almost in Canada. So I looked into it. I was fed up in 2020. I was fed up, job loss, vaccines, masks, a whole bunch of things. So I looked into it. I even got a job offer in Oregon, Portland, one of the toughest places to be if you're a Republican and conservative or right at all. But Portland, and it's not easy. If you want to get through to the States under a visa with an employer, you become their property. Okay, you become their property. You can't do anything other than like work for that employer. To go to the States without an employer, it's possible. You know, Canada, we got lots of agreements in place. USMCA is one of them where you can get visas to go to the States for work for various reasons. But one of them is a visa that allows you to move to the States without an employer, but you have to be like a self-made person. You have to be, um, you know, worth it according to Americans. So it is quite difficult to actually move to the States, or out of Canada in general. But I totally see how that sentiment would be there. I totally see how people would be thinking that way, because I did for a while. Um, but the back status, Portland was definitely going to be two left for me, especially what they're doing with the school system out there. It's pretty crazy how they indoctrinate in Portland specifically. And a couple things didn't line up for us, but we luckily fell in love with our real better option, which was to move to Alberta. So we're glad that worked out, but it's tough to like move unless you want to enslave yourself to an employer down there who likely wouldn't be um, um, the most accommodating to you because you have that position and they're leveraged. If you don't want to work for them, they'll send you home. That kind of thing. But anyways, Eleanor, I totally see how that movement can happen. I hope not. I hope that people are frustrated and they stay here, and then maybe we work out a different solution. That's what I would hope. I don't like it when like minds leave the province because they're not happy with the politics. However, I'm a hypocrite saying that because I left Ontario for one of those reasons. So to my folks in Ontario, sorry, I diluted the red or the conservative base a little bit, but I'm doing my best out here in Alberta, trying to keep sovereignty going and trying to keep this country together. All righty. Good morning, Azario, my buddy, my pal. We're working on some audio. There might be the chance to have this as a podcast soon. We've looked into Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, that whole realm of things. But it's not as simple as just throwing the audio onto a podcast distributor. We got to redo the audio. We got to take out like chats with you guys because that doesn't come off very well on an audio only version. If you can't read the text that's on the screen, it won't make much sense. Hiccups in the show, like any mic problems or internet problems, we would chop that out, and then a new intro and clean up the audio. So Azario, thanks a bunch for taking a look at the first episode, seeing what magic you can do, and seeing if this could become an easy process where we can just kind of process these files and get them out pretty quick. I think it would make for a good audio experience, so I'm pretty excited about getting this as a podcast out there, and we'll have all the previous episodes and catch up. Quebec Water wanted to separate at one time and nothing came of it. Please don't separate. Quebec can, in my opinion. Scott, so the cool thing about a Quebec separation movement is it gave them the leverage in Ottawa to get concessions out of Ottawa. Quebec is by far the most pampered province in Canada. They earned it. Okay, they went and fought for it. They stood up and said no on a whole bunch of issues and meant it, right? That's why they had to have a referendum about separation. Ottawa took them seriously, and Ottawa conceded. So Quebec created great precedents for any province that wants to get anything done. So Alberta is definitely following those footsteps, and I hope Alberta takes it one or two steps further. And they really, really make Ottawa understand that the entire West can't be treated this way anymore. We really, really have to become a united Canada. More of a republic than we as a federal system. We should be pushing for that, and we already have it. Okay, Section 9192 already says this. We just have to actually live with it. But also, I don't want Quebec to leave Scott, but that would make the East Coast a lot closer to Toronto, so the drive would be shorter, right? Believe it or not, some people actually said that when they were doing that. The drive would be shorter. Edge of Thought, another one from you. I took your photo, Jason, with Tamara. I know who you are. That's so cool. Okay, cool. Thanks for joining, bud. Thanks for joining. I'll leave your name. Okay. But thanks for joining, bud. Really, really nice to see you. You got up nice and early to be here. But if you don't know what photo they're talking about, if you go to my Twitter, it's the pinned one. So there's a picture there with Tamara Litch and I right after, I think that was the last day. So right after Justin testified, we did that picture. Ooh, Portland. I know, Ellen. Ooh, not as cool as Nova Scotia, right? Or Barrie, right, Ellen? But enjoy the London area. But yeah, Portland. Like there was so many red flags going up when we were looking at that planning. It was tough. School systems weren't great, et cetera, et cetera. I think maybe great if you're on the left, but not great if you want to raise your children well. Croatia is a viable option. I mean, love my country. Go where you gotta go, but I would prefer that if you wanted to fight for this country, you come to Alberta, because I think this is going to be where the fight is. I think this is going to be the fork in the road in Alberta. And we'd be more than happy to have you. There's a whole bunch of people moving here. Even some of my friends that I never thought would be moving has moved. I got a good buddy who just moved to Calgary. So it's awesome. It's actually awesome how many people are coming out here. If you hadn't left, I could have helped you plant those trees. Oh, Ellen, I really want to meet up with like all of you at some point. I don't know if it's in the cards this year, but maybe next year, a summer coast to coast thing with the trailer. We'll see. We'll try out the Calgary one first. We'll see how that goes. But it's a homestead, right? And we got animals. So it's very, very difficult for us to leave extended periods of time. But we'll see what we can do. If not, yeah, we got it. We got it. Yeah. You're just not a selfish person. You don't put the eyes. Okay, so I saw that our logo came up, but it looks like he's going to be doing some work on it so that it can be displayed well. We're still waiting on Truth. He did let us know he's going to run a little bit late because he does have to clear with his boss and make sure it works out. But that's cool. That's cool. We continue to hang out here. No problem. So what else did you guys do this weekend? Are you guys following the Alberta election much at all? Are you checking it out? According to my stats, if we're looking at stats, there's not a big poll for Alberta subjects, but I think this one's particularly important. So I'm glad that you're here today to check it out. Do come back tonight, though. Okay. I would like to see a whole bunch of you in the chat, and we can go ahead and watch the results, listen to what is being said, and we'll have our own commentary and analysis as well. We'll see if it's just a straightforward election or if there's some kerfuffles and some weird stuff that goes on, but we'll find out. It's coming up, man. Right. Well, waiting for Truth, what I might do is go through the guest list for the week after. So we have Ian Roden. He's with the PPC party out east. He has been following this channel for a while. He's been following my Twitter for a while. He's very active on it. He's got lots to say. He's very, very, very good. Much like Gov Corrupt, calling out the government, putting the messages out there, and getting good traction with it. So I'm very interested to speak to him because he's in the PPC party. He's been following us for a while. He knows that I'm an independent candidate. He knows that I'm not in the PPC party, but yet we still get on, we still chat. So I think it'll be a very interesting conversation about what it's like to be a candidate within the PPC party when it's young, just starting off, and in an area that's a little bit more blue. Well, not blue, liberal. I keep getting US Canada colors mixed up because we're just opposite of them. But he's in a liberal area. So we'll be able to chat with him about his challenges of being a candidate within a party, within a liberal area. And I think it'll be a very interesting episode. And I really want everybody who's possibly remotely, even just as a quick thought through their head, have thought about running as a candidate, because this is what this episode is going to be all about. It's going to be grassroots. It's going to be nobody knows who I am, but yet I'm running for a seat. It's going to be all of that. So it's going to be my federal candidate episode, but a lot more expanded because it's also coming from a party candidate's perspective on a young starting up in the party, and very, very well, I'm going to say it's very difficult even as a PPC candidate. It's not easy as an independent either, but it's also very difficult as a PPC candidate because of the media and the propaganda about how far left or right wing they are, which is, of course, not true. But he'll be able to discuss all of those challenges with us. And then on Tuesday, we have Joe Rampart. He's going by Rampart now. He dropped the Joe. He's Madonna now. He's a podcaster, radio host out of Edmonton. He's been doing it for quite some time. You can find his show on Twitter. He's always on. He's always got some of the best guests, and he's always got some of the best commentary and insights, especially when it comes to the political system. So Joe Rampart will be joining us on Tuesday, the entire episode. He's a lot of fun. He's got some really good energy, and I really think you'll enjoy him. If you haven't checked out his show, go check it out. You'll find it called Rampart, and give him a listen. And then you'll definitely be excited that he's coming, because he is such a good voice to listen to when it comes to his analysis of the political system here in Canada, especially with Alberta. This will be 1 week after the Alberta election that he comes on. So hopefully whatever's going on has been dealt with. The cabinet might be announced by then. We'll have a little bit more information about what happened after the election by the time Joe comes on. But that will be a very big Alberta political Canada focused episode. So I hope you catch that one. Wednesday, I'm going to come back to that one in a second. Thursday, we have Donald Best. Now, if you're on Twitter, you do know who he is. He's an ex-police officer who was falsely accused and later cleared of corruption. Well, there's corruption against him. So he was falsely accused. And there was a conspiracy, not even a joke, a conspiracy with lawyers, judges, and the police to silence him. It took a long time and a lot of money and recordings and a whole bunch of things to clear him. Okay, he's a police officer who was for his speech and falsely accused. A whole bunch of things got destroyed for him. He had to fight super hard to clear his own name, and he did that. So you're going to hear the story from Donald. He is a great man. He is so full of advice, and he knows the legal system from the police perspective very well. And he also now knows the legal system from the litigation side and the charges side, because he was falsely accused and he had to go through all of that for years. So I'm very pleased to have a survivor of injustice joining us on Thursday, June 8th. Friday, June 9th, we have Lee Vossen. If you remember her, she is the president and founder of Student Against Mandates, a activist group created by students in response to the mask and vaccine mandates that were happening in the universities and colleges in Manitoba, where they are trying to get their education. And we interviewed them last year. So you can go ahead on my channel, check it out. There's one of my very first interviews ever was with Lee and Brendan of SAM. So she'll be coming back on Friday, June 9th, give us a full update what's happened over the last year, how their organization is still moving. They're still working hard. They still have it going, which is very impressive, because a lot of times, not all the times, but a lot of times, student activity or activist groups fizzle after a year or so. Not this one. They've got a lot of support and they're working hard. I do have a guest who popped up, but no video. So if that's you, true, I don't have any video. But if that's your preference and you just want to do audio, that's fine too. But I don't have audio from your feed either. So you may have to say accept, allow microphone, allow video, and then reconnect. But right now I don't have audio or video from our guests. So we'll hold off on putting them on. And Ali, if there's anything you can do, take a peek. Now back to Wednesday, June 7th. A big episode. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guests confirmed, trying to get 14 guests. So this is a coast to coast episode starting in the east, likely Nova Scotia. We may have 10th man joining. So if you don't know who he is, you can search for him on YouTube. 10th is a very opinionated, very articulate, very good commentator on the Canadian political system. He has lots of interesting videos, and he's very adamant that the government is not there to help you. It's there to corral you and just basically use you for whatever they need. So he definitely has quite the view of Canadian political system. And getting 15 minutes from him to have an update from the East Coast, how things are looking, what's new out there, and find out from him on a regular basis how things are progressing and changing for the better or for the worse. So we'll be starting with him, it looks like. Again, some of these are soft confirmations and some of these are hard confirmations. He did say yes, but I want to confirm with him more than his thumbs up. And we definitely have in Quebec, we have Gov Corrupt, our good friend Kevin. Okay, we had an entire episode with him. He's already confirmed. He's totally down for that. So then we'll hear from him for about 15 minutes. I'm looking for somebody out in Nova Scotia and Quebec to join us. I now have video and audio. So I'm going to quickly wrap up here and get to this. The next one after that is in Ontario. So right now we have Azario, who's in our chat a lot. He was a host a bit last year, and he's been a guest on the show frequently. So he'll be joining. And then Tammy Croft from Tammy Croft Design. She's in our chat a lot. Amazing woman. Go check out her YouTube. She's got a good journey that she's on. She's a very strong, really impressed with her story. So she's going to join us. And then in Manitoba, we have Pastor Adam. I've sent an invite to him. I'm pretty sure he'll do it. And I'll be asking Lee as well from Students Games Mandate. She'll be able to give us a great view every week if she has the time. So we'll try and get her on. We did confirm for Saskatchewan, it's going to be Zach Schmidt, and he's happy to join, and we're looking for someone else there to join as well. Nadine, I reached out to her. She's a party affiliated person out in Saskatchewan. We'll see if she can get on. Alberta, I've got Tim Moen, who's got a soft one right now, but I got a confirmation from Andy Lee. So Andy Lee will be joining from Calgary. And then in BC, I'm looking with Chris Erickson, who's a good friend for a year or so. He's a very good political person, very good commentator. He's not in a particular party, but he definitely commentates on all of them. And then I'm really trying, I've got some back and forth now with Clyde Do Something. So it'd really be awesome if he can help close up the show with Chris. But there you go. So that's going to be the 7th. Now I'm going to wait no further. I'm going to bring in Truth. He worked hard to get himself here. And there he is. Oh my gosh. And I got your audio, bud.
Yeah. Can you say something?
Yeah, I can say something. I can say lots of things. And you can just tell
your
me.
Voice is very, your voice is really choppy in my
Really choppy?
headset. Yeah, I can't.
Well, apologies.
I can hear you. It's just it's like yeah, it sounds like robotic. Just really choppy. I think that's the term.
Okay, no problem. Maybe it's just the connection with. Well, right now there's no other complaints from the guests or from the chat, and it might be because I'm a deep fake. So I'm definitely.
You know what? I'm gonna see if I can't fix it with my other phone.
No problem. Yeah, I'm getting notes that the audio is okay, so it might just be your connection. I love the background though.
Thanks, man. I'm just on a dirt road and about a block from my job. That's like I'll show you the area I'm in.
Yeah, that's it.
Holy cow! It's not even working. Yeah, it does not want to follow me. So I'm like way out in the middle of nowhere, just standing on the side of a road, bro.
That's amazing. That's our first on the dirt road interview. That's wonderful. We'll take that.
Here, I'm gonna try something here.
Okay, well, we'll just give him a moment. Morning, everybody.
Your voice is you're almost impossible to understand is the problem.
Okay. Well, what we'll probably do is I'll do my best, but you're going to do most of the talking anyways.
Maybe I should try and rejoin this. I have a perfect signal here, but you're quite choppy. So just give me 1 second. What I'll do is I'll leave the stream.
Okay.
I will leave it and then I'll come back and see, because I can hear you perfectly on YouTube, but yes. When I'm on this particular app, and I have a full signal and it's 5G, so it should work. I do a lot of live. Here's some guys going by. Oh, that's dusty. Here, give me 1 minute. I'm going to leave and come back in.
Sure thing. Okay. So good morning, Tammy. Thank you for the tweet this morning, and I hope you're excited about coming on the show. I think it's about time you have a regular appearance and we can hear from you all the time. That'd be wonderful. And if True is listening still, what we can do if the audio doesn't go good is you can still join. And what I'll do is I'll just basically ask a question and then let you run so that the back and forth may not happen because you can't hear me well, but we do want to hear from you. So your audio was good enough to go ahead and continue. So if you can't hear me that great, that might be all right. We can roll with those punches. And Scott, if people didn't know what independent journalists do when they audit, this will be a great show for them to stick around. Absolutely, Scott. All right. So I think your connection got... Oh, there you go. Now you went to green. Okay, perfect. Can you hear me now? Okay, yeah, his connection... There you go. You're back to 10.
Hang on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh,
No, nothing's working.
Yeah. I can hear you though. I can hear you.
You are very quiet now. Hang on.
Okay.
Battery high. Connected to
Okay.
iPhone 1 3.
This is live. This is live, folks. This is what will we do. We'll roll with it. No problem. I'll take some more chat while we're waiting. Ellen, love watching the auditors. They started way back with Batusai. Yeah, so Audit's cool. There's a whole bunch of good ones. And of course, True North. He's a really good one out of Pickering. But they're very interesting because these are people. Oh, there we go. We got video.
That worked.
And you can
and
hear
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Yes. Let's do this, True. Let's do this, buddy.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I think
no problem.
I can't see the names of anybody in here.
That's okay.
I did
but
see.
Now
I'm hoping some people came from my channel.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they definitely know it's live. It's not fake. This is real as it gets, folks. And I haven't seen some. Yeah, there's some new names in the chat for sure. There's a couple.
Tammy Croft, I think I recognize, and there's Prairie. Hey, Prairie.
Yeah. Cool. So I think you hit us just in time. So now what I'm going to do is pull up my notes, and we're going to go ahead and just get right into it. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, I was late, guys. I had to go see the boss and make sure they knew I wasn't coming to work today. I'm going to be doing some audits later on and looking for an apartment in the big city. So.
In the big city, like Toronto or Pickering?
To Toronto. I'm going right as far as I can into town. It's going to be a lot more helpful to the work that I do. So.
Oh, great!
Right now,
drag.
Right into the stank of it all. Yeah. Uh-oh. I think you froze. Is it?
They don't want us to have.
Oh, it's weird. It just froze for a minute again too.
Yeah, that was me this time. I could see that my connection dropped for about 3 pings right there. So maybe we're onto something true. So let's get into it because maybe this subject is too hot for them to handle. But let's go ahead and introduce you. So I've got to meet you over the last week or so, but go ahead and tell everybody who you are and what it is that gets you up in the morning and makes your videos.
Well, my name's Rick, also known as True North Transparency. I don't know what gets me up in the morning, man. The need not to starve. I work.
Well, to get you up and do what you do. Yeah.
To do what I do. Well, actually, it started during the pandemic when. So I didn't fall for the pandemic. I didn't fall for it right from the start. I knew this was all. I knew what was going to happen, and people like me and. We've been called conspiracy theorists for years and years. I saw what was going on. I saw independent journalists being arrested. Chris Sakosio, he's running for the mayor of Toronto. He was known as Chris Guy. Yeah, you got it. I actually did a live show with him on Saturday, just this past weekend.
Yeah. He's very fun.
Yeah, well, I started watching his videos during the pandemic. And what happened during the pandemic, there was a website called Film Your Hospitals because they kept saying that the hospitals were packed. But meanwhile, all the nurses were making TikTok videos all choreographed in hospitals.
Yep.
And nobody seemed to put 2 and 2 together. And I was like, look, this is not right. So I went into a couple of hospitals in the GTA and they were empty. And empty. There was not a single person. You could hear the security guard coming for 20 minutes down the hallway. But long story short is I keep getting booted off of Facebook. I'd say my opinion and get booted off of any platform that I did. Chris Guy was a big inspiration for me to pick up a camera and go exercise my rights. And then I got into watching First Amendment audits in the United States, like Long Island Audit and Bay Area Transparency. And I thought, you know what? I saw that, is it Rebel News? Andrew Lawton, is that Rebel News? I think so.
Yeah, he's on here.
But Andrew Lawton, Justin Trudeau wouldn't allow him into press releases to ask questions, wouldn't even let him in, told him he wasn't a real journalist, and that's when I was like, okay, I've had enough of being a keyboard warrior. I'm picking up my camera and I'm going to show the corruption within our government, how much they despise the people that they're supposed to rule and or lead. That was some dude on a bike.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so I decided to stop being a keyboard warrior. It's not doing any good. Nobody listens to you, and you just get thrown off of all the platforms. And I spent so during the pandemic since 2021, I think I've had a month worth of Facebook time where I wasn't banned. It was 30 days, and then I'd go one day, and they'd find something from the previous month and ban me again. And
wow.
They did it throughout the entire pandemic, and then after just this year, after the pandemic ended, and I lost my company. I had a heating company. I lost that. I lost everything because we couldn't get materials because of this fake supply chain issues or manufactured supply chain issues. And I thought, hell, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to become an employee again with the union doing sheet metal. That's what I do. I'm a heating HVAC guy. And I thought I had some extra time, so I picked up a camera and went. Well, the first one was the library. You saw that. It didn't. It was a good video, but it didn't go very well, and it did prove my point. The government offices, people that we pay, they hate us. They hate the people, and anything they can do to control us a little more, they'll take that liberty. They'll pass bylaws. As you mentioned earlier, I did that speech with City Council, pointing out the terrible things and the terrible items in their bylaw. And yeah, that's what gets me going. And a lot of people don't know their rights. So what I do is I try to educate people on their rights as I do my auditing, right? So
that's awesome. So you're actually doing two.
A lot of people hate me though.
Yeah, that's okay. If you're not hated, you're not working hard enough.
You're not doing your job right.
That's right. So it's a two-pronged approach for you. You're doing education, so you're educating people on their rights as well. And then you're also showing up in person and executing your rights. So you're not just saying things, you're actually doing it as well, which makes us very unique, right? There's a lot of people who will be out there to tell you what your rights are, but very few will put the boots on and go ahead and execute those rights and then show you how they're being violated, which I think is the most important part of what it is you're doing. Is we have these rights, freedom of speech, freedom of press. We should be able to go into public spaces. We pay for it, but you are demonstrating as clear as you can. Those are being violated daily, and even at the library level. So if it's happening at the library level, what's happening at the legislative level? Of course, nobody's paying attention.
And just recently, last week, I went with Rebel News' David Menzies. Actually, cool. I met up with him. We met face to face at the Durham District School Board, which is just around the corner from here. I'm in Pickering still. I'm just on the edge of Pickering. They're going to mow all this greenbelt behind me down to make houses in the next 10 or 15 years. I went with David Menzies to the Durham District School Board. They had kicked all the parents out of the school board because the parents were raising concerns about pornography in the classrooms. And they said they were being homophobic, and they kicked them out. So David Menzies and I went there and asked questions with a group of parents, and they wouldn't let us in the building. That's where it ended for David Menzies. He did a great story on it. I'm in the story with him, so him and I are asking the security guard questions. But I'm not a news company per se. I'm going in there. I'm going to go in the building this week, and I'm going to record them violating my rights if they choose to do so. But what I'm going to do is teach the parents how to file proper complaints, not just call, and because your complaints just go straight in the trash. You have to give a written complaint and submit it formally for them to be heard. And I'm going to teach the parents how to do freedom of information requests. And that's what an audit, I believe, is it's educating people that they have the right to do this stuff, and educate them on how to do it, and that way the parents can speak out a little more effectively. And that's what I do in City Hall as well, right? I try to teach people how to not be afraid of the government.
That's
they are
perfect.
scary.
Yeah, no, it's very intimidating, especially when they show up with guns, right? They have all the
Yeah.
weapons in the world to deal with you, in any way they decide, not necessarily what the law dictates, but what they decide. And I believe you mentioned that you did pick up a copy of my book, that you did read the book.
I have not yet.
Oh,
No,
okay,
I have
okay.
not yet. You just sent it to me over the weekend, and I worked all
Okay.
weekend, so.
No, fair enough. There's a few people I went to, and somebody's mentioned they finished it. So, sorry, I got mixed up there. But I'm trying to do the same thing there with the education portion of it, by trying to teach people exactly what you just said there. You can make verbal complaints, you can yell and scream and protest, but that's not really going to move the needle much. In fact, it
No.
might move the needle against you if you're doing it
Yes.
in a particular way. And like you will get into with the Pickering Council meeting, some of the words that they're choosing to use to make it super broad, and that's kind of why they do that. But we'll
Obnoxious.
get into that one. Yeah, I was saving that because it was a very obnoxious conversation around the word obnoxious. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I will highly recommend people go check out that video. And we're also going to get into Lisa as well. She's amazing, but we'll talk about her in just a sec. But what I was going to mention, though, we've heard growing up forever that the pen is mightier than the sword, right? This was one of these changes in history where we get to a diplomatic way instead of a violent way, and that's kind of what this message means. But are we now in the age of the camera is mightier than the pen? Because
You got it.
now we are absolutely capturing. We don't have to write down anymore. We're capturing live events now. And is this the way forward to make true diplomatic, nonviolent change? What do you think?
I think so. Even as I said at that city council meeting, Prairie's in here. She can share the link from my page to that city council meeting I did recently.
Yes, please.
But I
Prairie,
told
put
them,
that in.
I turned to the crowd and I said, I think everybody should be filming. If you think something's up, if you think your government's up to something, take that phone out of your pocket and stop playing Candy Crush. Take out the camera and turn it on and start recording your government officials. And on top of auditing here, this guy's gonna dust me out here.
That's okay.
On top
this
of auditing, on top of auditing, I do cop watching as well. I don't do it to spread hate on cops. I do it to educate, even the police. Police get real snotty with me when I record sometimes. Other times, most of the times they act quite okay. I think they've had a little bit of a speaking to a memo, but I think everybody should take their cameras out and record everything, anytime.
Absolutely. Now, do you think we will turn into like a CCTV type of society where there's cameras everywhere, government and citizens?
Well, Justin Trudeau admires the basic dictatorship of China, and that's exactly what they do there, man. And it's happening quick. You go around Toronto, there's cameras on almost every major intersection. They're using, they're just parking vehicles around that have plate readers on them. So what they do is they park OPP vehicles all along the major highways like the 401, the 407, and they read your plate and they log where you were at certain hours of the day.
Yep.
Now they're going to start putting that technology on streetlights as well. So anytime you go through an intersection, it'll read your plate, it'll know who you are, it'll know anything about you. And at the detachments, they have a lady sitting there in front of the camera screen. And you can't see them, but that's every detachment has links, access to the cameras within their local district. And yes, absolutely, we're going to be a CCTV. I think we're going to end up with the social currency, you know, that China has too. If you jaywalk,
social credit score.
That's it. Yeah, the social credit score. If you jaywalk, all of a sudden you lose a couple of bucks out of your bank account. That's what's coming with digital currency. They're going to be monitoring everything you buy, everything you say, which they already are. You know, your cell phone doesn't shut off. They made it so you can't even pull the batteries out of cell phones anymore. And
you notice that too?
Yes, I remember the day they did it. I'm like, is this so that we can't shut them off? And the guy just laughed. I think that was the iPhone 4 that I noticed.
Yeah, no, they progressively change things in such a way that we carry the world's greatest spying device with us all the time, powered up, paid for, updated, software fixes, and everything. It's amazing
Yeah.
what they made us do on that one.
And the
Treasure.
other part is Facebook. Holy cow, Facebook. The CIA even said, we don't have to do any work to spy on citizens. They put everything about themselves right on Facebook, right in the open for everyone to see. All those little tests you do, like, hey, take a picture of yourself now and post one from 10 years ago. That's to update facial recognition software. If nobody knew,
and all the relationship tracking, so you can actually mesh the relationships, so you know who's friends
The
with who.
quizzes.
That was amazing.
The quizzes on Facebook. Yeah, the quizzes on Facebook. If you answer those quizzes, like to see what kind of potato you are, it has nothing to do with what kind of potato you are. They ask you questions that would be your sign-in information for your bank. A lot of the questions they ask on those quizzes are the same as that. Then all they have to do is find your name and your birthday, and you're done.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
You can get access to anybody's bank account, and it's crazy the amount of surveillance we're under and how freely people give out their information.
Well, now that we're under a surveillance state, and I like what you're doing, you're turning the camera back to the state as well. So let's surveil them as well. If we're all going to be under camera, let's all be under camera. So I kind of like what you're doing there. Now, when it comes to, and let's go ahead and get into the Pickering incident, the Pickering Library incident. So you were watching some other auditors, and you were kind of inspired, and you admired their work, and you saw how Canada's lacking in this as well. And we are just as good as any other, just wait for that truck to go by, any other government-run state media. We're just as good as the rest of them. So we're able to do this. So you became an independent journalist. You became a civil rights activist, and that's kind of what your title would be. You're like a civil rights activist in what you're doing here. So you mixed civil rights activist with journalist with auditor to create True North, transparency.
Yeah.
What is your goal?
Yeah.
When you went to the library, when you went there, you wanted to, and I'll let you tell the story, but you went there with a purpose and you were unable to fulfill that purpose. So go ahead and let us know what you went there for and how that kind of broke down for the people that didn't watch your video yet.
Well, I went to the library with the intention of seeing if they respected my right to the freedom of press. That was the main concern I had.
Okay. So you're going to test the policies.
I had chickened out. Yeah, I didn't know their policies. I didn't read them. Policies don't mean a damn thing to me. I follow the law, not policy.
Well, it's my policy not to respect other policies, just so you know.
That's right. You got it. It's a good policy. Yeah. And so I went there, and I chickened out, actually. I was on my way home, and then a friend of mine in the States, SJVT, San Joaquin Valley Transparency, he had emailed me back. He's like, dude, because I had told him I'd chickened out before at the police station. And he's like, just find your bravery, man. He said, I read the email at a gas station. I turned right back around and I went. And I went in and I wanted to read to view. There's a room on the second floor that is filled with artifacts from the history of Pickering. It's called a genealogy room. It's got old railway maps. It shows pictures of what Pickering looked like 100 years ago. And I was very interested to see that room, but you had to make an appointment. So I went up to the front desk, and I had my camera and my gimbal that's sitting in it right now. And I asked the lady at the front desk, hey, can I see that room upstairs? And the lady at the front desk was pretty cool. She was all right. She did ask me if I was filming, and I said, yeah, absolutely, I'm filming. And so she went in the back. She's like, I'll go get somebody to let you in there. And I knew that wasn't the case right away. And then the librarians came out, the head librarians, Doug Miriams and Bird, Elaine Bird, I think is her name. Okay. They came out. No, that would be Jenny. Elaine Bird didn't come out until the second library video. But this one of the librarians, Jenny, came out, and they told me it's not a public building. It's a private building with public access. That's every government building will tell you that. And it's not true. And they told me I had no right to film people, that they had a policy against it. I'm like, well, this is public. The security guard.
Well, I watched. I'm gonna jump in quick. I watched your video. You were not filming people. You were not filming computer screens. You were not invading any privacy, from what I saw.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? If you're in a public place and you hold your credit card in front of you, and somebody steals that information, even your credit card company won't reimburse you the money if they found out that's what you were doing. If they found out you gave your credit card info to somebody and they stole money from you, they're not giving you your money back. It's like leaving your keys in your truck and somebody steals it. If they found out that the guy stole it with a set of keys that you gave them, you basically handed out your truck to them, your insurance company won't pay. So it's up to you to make your privacy in a public place. And
well, another thing I want to point out, they'll finish up.
No, and those computer screens too. They're open for everybody to see, and it's so that people aren't in the library watching porn, right? I'm sure that's what it's for.
And I'm also
so what would I do wrong?
Yeah, for the people that use those library computers, it's all recorded, screens recorded. Every single keystroke you do is recorded. So if you're using those library computers as a privacy session, you've already lost it. And they tell you as soon as you try to use it as part of the terms and conditions, they can record everything on there. So I guess they don't want competition, is what they're saying. So they don't want competition with surveillance, is what they're trying to tell you.
Yeah, that's it's friendly reminder that they always have a camera watching you, but you're never allowed to film them, right? Keep them accountable. So police stations are really bad for that. Yeah.
So the head librarian came down and said, "We have a policy. You can't film people here." And then what happened?
They called the security guard came down. He was a real piece of work. He's calling me a non-vaxxer.
Football outfit. That guy?
Yeah, he's wearing the Bengals shirt, Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah. And he's like, "I'm American. This is not a First Amendment audit state." I'm like, I laugh. Not in a state. I'm like, "We're not in the States, bro." And he's like, "I'm American." I'm like, "That's okay, man. I like Americans. I have no problem with Americans." But this guy he's like calling me a non-vaxxer. He called me a loser. He was high as a kite. He reeked of pot. He wasn't even working. He just saw that there was an issue, and so he went and grabbed his badge and came back. So it was January 2nd, and I was even amazed that the library was open. I came down just to go to work, and my job site was closed. They wouldn't even let me on the job site. So I was like, hell, I'll go check out the library today. And that guy was a piece of work. Sat there berating me for at least 30 minutes, and I got it all on camera, whining about me filming him, calling me a loser. And then they called the police. And then it escalated from there.
Now, the police, when they showed up, she did seem to be, willing to chat with you, but very firm. Wasn't engaging you in argument, but wasn't actually respecting your rights either. So when she showed up, what was more of that encounter? Go ahead and share that.
Well, I didn't notice at first because that was the first time I'd ever held a camera while the police showed up. For me, like I was the one being, the police were called on. So I didn't notice right away, but
attention.
Yeah, they're very poor investigation. They didn't investigate anything. They didn't listen to what I had to say, nothing. But she showed up with no name tag, no body camera, with those soccer gloves on, and she was about up to here on me. Yeah. Very, very petite girl. She's very tiny, and she looked like she wanted to go hands-on right away. And she was dead set. Ideas like crack to the police. They want your identification. They're trained to get your identification, and I wasn't having any of it. That's also part of the education I teach people, is you don't have to forfeit your right to be secure in your persons in Canada. And your
but just to be clear, what they're doing is they're just confirming, because they already know your identity by the time they got there.
Nope. No, not that time. They did not. They had no clue who I was. Okay. I didn't have a YouTube page. My truck was parked miles away. I never park my vehicle close to where I'm doing an audit. I'll walk an hour to get to my audit, or take a cab.
Taking good precautions there. That's a good idea.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and so they had no idea who I was, and when she started demanding ID, I stated that I don't have to because this is just I haven't broken a law. And I asked her to say the law that I broke, and she's like, trespass to property act. I'm like, well, that's not an arrestable offense. You can ask me to leave, but I have a right to be here, and I think your sergeant would know, your supervisor. And so she got all snippy with me for a little bit. Actually, she did really well on my page. A short video of her got almost 1 million views because she was giving me a hard time. But then the sergeant showed up with another officer. And yeah, he wouldn't listen either. He wouldn't do any investigation into my rights. He's like, you're violating policy, get out. And I asked him, I escalated it to the point where I was like, am I going to be arrested if I don't leave? And he says, yep, I'll arrest you for trespassing. And that's all you need to have legal standing. You don't have to be arrested to sue the police or to file a deprivation of rights under the color of lawsuit. You just have to have the threat of arrest is good enough. And so I left the building under threat of arrest.
Yeah, and they do that. Like, even if they know that they can't do what they're doing, they still threaten you with arrest and then sometimes actually arrest you and let you deal with it. You go ahead and get your lawyer to get rid of it, or the judge will throw it out later. But you're still inconvenienced.
That's funny you say that.
You're still charged. There still is a record, even though you're not convicted, but it still becomes a hassle. It becomes harassment to you. Even though you actually didn't do anything wrong, and they know it, but they're giving you a punishment, kind of like when your parents say to you, because I said so, just do it. And there's a penalty to it. You are being I don't care who you are. I'm a paralegal in Ontario, and I can go ahead and argue myself. That still takes up time. You can't go work during that time. It's incredible the type of civil harassment that police officers can get away with. And I like how you're pushing against that and exposing that.
I would like to, what you just said there, it's exactly what they say. I did videos up in Peterborough where I was speaking with the police. Prairie saw the video. I lost the live feed to that. It just stopped uploading and disappeared from my page. I'm still new to YouTube, right? I lose a lot of videos.
Well, I'll help you get on Restream, and then you can do Rumble and YouTube and others at the same time.
I actually am on Rumble as well. I am on Rumble. All my videos upload to Rumble. But the police will say that to you. And even the security guard says, he's like, well, then you can hire some lawyers and go to court and fix this issue. I'm like, I shouldn't have to. This is my right. And even the cops say it. They're like, well, look, you can... my friend, we're going to court on Wednesday. He works with me a lot. His name is PC Audit. He was arrested in a police station for having a camera twice. One time the camera was even off, and he showed him it was off, and they still arrested him, and they're still trying to prosecute him. But we're going Wednesday, and what they do is in Canada, you're guilty until proven innocent. They arrest you, they charge you, they make you go to court and fight for your rights, when they should know your rights. First of all, they should know them offhand. That's what their job is to defend our rights against other people and even the government, which is it's a joke. They won't do it. But that's how they deal with it in Canada. They're going to arrest you. They're going to put you in jail. You'll spend a couple hours there. They'll give you for trespassing. They'll give you a fine, and then you have to go to court and fight it. We do it all ourselves. I'm not a paralegal, but I'll be documenting my trip. We're looking for paralegals, but that's what they do every time. Is the cops don't care if they're going to violate your rights. They want you to argue it in court in front of a judge, which is they said even when I was at that city council meeting where I was talking about that bylaw amendment, a guy stood up and he says, we're giving more freedom to the citizens because instead of going to jail, we just give you a $500 ticket. I'm like,
I heard that part.
I couldn't believe it. I honestly.
Yeah, that guy needs a
I couldn't believe it. Go ahead.
Yeah, he needs a course on civil obedience. Like that guy, that statement is, okay, well, we're not going to beat you. We're just going to spank you.
Yeah.
You don't even have a right to
Yeah.
spank to begin with. So what are you talking about, my friend? And I wonder how his argument would hold up if the roles were reversed. So if somebody was trying to exclude him from, say, a council meeting based on his obscene or what is it? What was that word again that we have to talk about?
Obnoxious.
Yeah.
Obnoxious.
Because
Yeah.
I certainly found his legal analysis very obnoxious. So I wonder if that's
It was.
enough for, yeah, I wonder if that's enough to have him kicked out.
Well,
now I think
I
it's a
could
good
call the
time to get
cops
into
and find out.
yeah. So what ended up happening, which I really enjoyed because of your videos, is you had the Pickering Library incident where they're stating to you all of this policy, trespassed, yada yada, you're breaking the law, get out of here. This is what they're telling you at the library. But yet they have a council meeting after that where they're broadening the laws to put this obnoxious word in and other things in order to deal with the situation. So they didn't have those bylaws in place. That's coming after. So this is like a chicken and the egg where they were trying to execute under the powers of the bylaws they ended up giving themselves later. So let's go ahead and talk about first how you were aware of this bylaw change, what you did when you went there, what argument you made, what counselor supported or didn't support your argument, and then how did it end up? Let's go ahead and chat a bit about that particular committee meeting.
I checked the agendas on the city meetings. Councillor Robinson, Lisa Robinson, taught me how to check the agendas online. A little bit of background about me. I'm computer illiterate. I came from the Yukon 10 years ago, and the last computer I bought it in the Yukon, and I just recently, I'll let him go by. And I just recently bought my first computer in 14 years. So I honestly have no idea how to use them. I'm not good with them. I'm a construction worker. I work with my hands. But I am learning. So she taught me how to check these out, and I found the amendments to this bylaw. And what I saw, so I went there to speak. I went and got a copy of the amendments. And what they're doing in Pickering is, so the Trespass to Property Act, it states that the owner of a property can ask anybody to leave. What Pickering has done, and I think they did it exactly to combat people like me who know their rights,
I agree, you're right.
They broadened the term owner to include the government agencies that occupy a building. And that is a load of BS, because we own the government. We own the government employees. We own the mayor, basically. He is our employee that we elected and hired, and we all pay him by taxes. And what they did is they broadened the scope of ownership to include them so that they can just ask you to leave for any reason. And I think that was exactly because of me. It's ridiculous what they did.
So I'm going to kind of update some people on what you're talking about there, if you don't mind. So what True is telling us here is, under the Trespass Act, the owner is the one that needs to say that person has to leave, or the agent of an owner, but the owner. And it's very important that it comes from the owner. So for example, if you walk into a property and the neighbor yells at you and say, hey, get off there, they actually can't. It has no standing under the Trespass Act. It has to be the owner or the agent of the owner. So what they're doing here is they are expanding the word of owner under the bylaws in Pickering to also include the government who's occupying the public building. We have never had that under the definition of owner ever. Even under the Trespass Act itself, the definition of owner does not include government agencies. So Pickering is kind of superseding the Trespass Act's definition of owner with their own definition of owner in order to rope in the power of the Trespass Act. With all of that kind of put together, go ahead, True.
And to give the cops more power. That same guy I was talking about earlier, who said it gives the people more freedom because they're not going to get locked up for trespassing, which
they'll just
they only put you in cuffs. Yeah, they'll just get it. Oh, and the tickets are multiplied by 10. So instead of a $50 ticket, it's now $500. you can be fined up to $100 grand for trespassing. No shit. Excuse my language, but it's absurd. I've never heard of anything like it. And and that same so they gave that ownership to the government, which that same guy, like when I argued my case, he's like, well, we took a lot of advice from the police, the Durham Regional Police, on how to word this.
Yep.
I'm like, of course you did, because the police hate people that know their rights too. They hate it. They don't want you to know that you don't have to ID if you didn't do anything wrong. They can't just come up to you. I have a cop pulled up right now and said, I want your ID because you're standing here on the side of the road. I'd tell them to kick rocks, go away. 9 out of 10 people, though, would fork over their identification. And it's unbelievable. I had no words. I was actually stunned when I was listening to that guy speak. And we have a disturbing the peace law in Canada, and then they added the word obnoxious to it, obnoxious behavior. And they have no definition for obnoxious. Obnoxious means incredibly offensive. And I don't know about you guys, like, I've quit with the political thing. Instead of leaning left or right, I try to go straight forward. But some of the most obnoxious people I've ever met are the left when they're offended at something that you don't agree with. One thing I know about conservatives is they're usually always willing to listen and have a discussion. If you go up against a leftist, which is farther left than Democrat, if you go up against the leftists and you say something they don't like, all of a sudden you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, you're transphobe. They're going to try and cancel you. Yeah, but that obnoxious behavior is going to be put into effect to stop people like me from protesting at pride events. You know.
Oh, you're 100% correct.
The all ages drag shows. I was supposed to do a few the day before yesterday, but I ended up at Chris Sky's event. I thought that was a little more important to give him some coverage. But there's going to be more, and you'll see me at them. And they're going to use my behavior. They're going to label it obnoxious, and they're probably going to give me $500 to $1,000 fine, and I'll have to go defend myself in court.
Yeah, if you do get that ticket. Yeah, if you do get that ticket, that's the first step to challenging that law, by the way. So the first thing is someone has to have the law used against them, and then it goes into the court where you can argue whether or not it's a good law, and that's how laws can be struck down, especially bylaws.
Yeah.
So if they do give you a ticket, it might. That was my second.
That's pretty big, man.
That's a big machine. Yeah, it wasn't obnoxious.
I'm right in farm country.
Yeah. You don't get more farm country than backwoods Alberta here, but you can't even call me if you tried right now. But yeah, but I agree completely. So what they're doing is they're playing with words. The left really wants to protect feelings, and when feelings get involved, you get things like obnoxious, and this is the word that they're using. And I also think we are a couple steps away from them defining cameras as a weapon. I think at some point you're going to hear in the future that people are going to say that is a threatening weapon to me because that exposes or that captures or that's privacy and a whole bunch of things. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the near future, maybe not deadly weapon, but they will define camera for the purpose of capturing things in public as a weapon. What do you think about that? Like if they do take a step or two towards redefining your camera when it's used in that way as a weapon?
If they did that, I will be fighting it for sure. But one of my arguments would be is get rid of all your camera plate license plate readers. Get rid of the speed cameras. Get rid of the cameras on the light posts all over town. If you're going to take my camera away, I want your guys' is gone too. And that way we can all level the playing field, everything. And we'll level the playing field out again. But if they won't do that, that'll be right.
No, it's going to be your camera as a weapon, not their camera.
Yeah. I think they will try it. You know what? I'm going to the Pride Parade in Toronto. Just to show what people are exposing their kids to, because it's disgusting. I won't be able to play it on YouTube. I swear to God, I won't be able to. I'll have to put it on Rumble only, or figure out how to use the blurring tool.
Yeah.
But it's gross. It's a disgusting place. I went down there one time on an accidental first date. I had a first date with a girl, and she lived right downtown Toronto, and I drove down there and wondering what all the traffic was, and I ended up right in the middle of the Pride Parade, and I was trying to eat, watching what was going on, and I was actually pretty sickened. There was actual people actually having sex and performing sexual acts everywhere, and there were used condoms on the street. I was grossed out. I was wearing sandals. I'm like, oh, this is disgusting. And there were like used and unused condoms everywhere. Like they throw them off of the floats. And what goes on those floats? A lot of those floats have some crazy sexual activity on them, and people bring their 4-year-old kids to watch them. And I think that's disgusting. That should be considered child abuse. So I'm going to test out their little. I'm going to go bring my camera down there, and we'll see if it's how they use the privacy concerns on me. Like, oh, you can't record this. This is an act of love between two people. But yeah, you're doing it on a street corner, you know. So yeah, we're going to be testing that one out pretty soon.
And I bet you if you brought that video into a council meeting in Toronto and had a big screen and started to play it inside the council meeting, they would remove you for lewd display of sexuality, even though you're showing them what was captured on the public street that they were allowing. If you were to play that in a council meeting, you would be removed immediately for lewd behavior, obnoxious behavior, right?
Yeah. You know what? That's why they were kicking parents out of the school board meeting. The parents were reading from the books that are in their elementary school libraries, and they're like, you can't say those words in here, like a BJ or a C sucker and stuff like that. And they're like, well, we're reading from a book you guys have available to our 6-year-old son, and you don't want to hear it because it's offensive to you guys. And they kicked all the parents out of the meeting for reading those books out loud in the library, not library council, the school board council meeting.
Yep.
And yes, absolutely. If I recorded that and brought it to a city council meeting, I'd be thrown out, probably arrested.
Yeah, and kind of rightfully so, because that's lewd, obnoxious, obscene visuals. Like, we shouldn't have those out in public, but yet they were captured in public.
It would be classified as pornography video. Like YouTube wouldn't play it. I'll bet even Rumble wouldn't play it because it would be too graphic, right? So
yeah, you'd have to mark it as 18 plus, and there'd be that warning for sure.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, and you nailed it. Like, that's quite the litmus test when even you can't broadcast it on YouTube, which means it's way too obscene. That should be the litmus test for public display. Like, if it's too obscene to be on YouTube just for general consumption, it's certainly too obscene to be out in public display. Now I'm going to kind of switch tactics or switch subjects on you here to the freedom of press and the Canadian Charter. So some of these things we have some power, and some of these we don't have power, and some of these are respected, and some of these are not respected, especially freedom of press. So let's go ahead and go into the current protections that we're supposed to have that we're not actually receiving, and how do we, through things like auditing and civil rights activism, how do we try and restore the power to the people when it comes to press, speech, and frankly just our ability to be free in this country and not being harassed by the police or threatened by the police?
Stop referring to the charter. I just learned that recently. The charter has no teeth. It's a useless document. It labels human beings as persons under the law. And under the law, a person in Canada is a corporation, a servant of the Queen. So the Charter of Rights was written to take our freedoms from us. Even though it says it's the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, it lays out, it guarantees you these freedoms, but the government can take them away as long as it's demonstrably justified. That's under Section 1 of the Charter. The government can take away your freedoms as long as they justify it, right?
Right. Section
So
1.
stop. We gotta. Oh, and Section 52 says that the Charter is the supreme law of Canada, and any law made in contravention to it is of no force or effect to the extent of the inconsistency, right?
Unless it's a Pickering bylaw. I think there's a small print in there that says that.
Or a policy, or don't.
Yeah.
Policies trump your rights in Canada.
Yeah. You didn't see that small
What
print
I
in
would
there?
do, what I would do, is I recently printed up the Bill of Rights. That's an older document. It has a lot more teeth. It has nothing written in it that can be where it states that the government can take these rights from you. These are your rights, and it is the same rights. The Charter of Rights uses the freedom of expression, which again takes away your freedom of speech. It's just your freedom of expression. You can't say what you want, but you can express it somehow, which is ridiculous. In the Bill of Rights, it states that you have freedom of speech. So I'm going to be doing a lot more work with the Bill of Rights. I'm ditching the Charter altogether. I think it's a useless document, and they laugh at me when I mention it. And I think that anybody in a government office is told, when they get to the highest level of their particular government office, they're told, if somebody comes in here claiming Section 2B of the Charter, you can just laugh in their face and arrest them. And I honestly think that's what our government tells the higher ups. And I think we have to start using the Bill of Rights, invoking your rights. And also in the court system is very complicated in Canada. These are statutory courts. You have no rights in a court. You're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. Stop letting them call you Mr. Like, my last name is Troyan. It's in my videos. I don't mind sharing it. If I go in there and they call me Mr. Troyan, I'm agreeing that I'm a corporation and a servant of the Queen. Take that title off of me. You call me Richard Troyan. I am a human being, and I'm acting under my rights. And you can, and I don't know how this is done. I've actually been doing research on it. But there is a different court system in Canada called the inherent courts. The inherent rights. Courts. Yeah, inherent rights. And you can argue. It's up to the judge if they'll allow you to invoke your right to go through that. But when we're acting under our fundamental rights, there shouldn't be much issue. And Canadian courts do back up the freedom of the press pretty religiously. But the police and the lower levels of government don't. So if you stop allowing them to label you as a legal person, you have a lot more power against the tyrannical actions of your government. And that literally means Mr. Troyan is them referring to me as a legal person, a corporation that serves the Queen. And I don't recognize the Queen. I don't recognize the King. I'm not a servant. I'm a human being, and I have human rights. And at that point, now you're getting into the international human rights. And Canada signed up for the international human rights, and you have a lot more power if you stop letting the courts walk all over you in that manner. The sad part is lawyers don't do it. Lawyers won't. They don't care about your rights. Lawyers aren't working for us. Even defense lawyers don't work for us. They work closely with the police. That's why everybody gets off with a deal. We got to learn how to fight back ourselves. I'm going to be taking the paralegal course, and I'm going to learn how to.
Oh, we just lost him there. He's going to learn to do what? Going to learn to do what? Maybe stand up for his rights. Being a paralegal or going through the paralegal course is a good idea. In Ontario, paralegals are licensed and regulated, so they actually have standing in the court, become officers of the court when you get your license. I went through that entire process. It's a 2-year process to become a paralegal in Ontario, but you can find yourself in accelerated programs, and you can do it as quickly as a year. And that's what I ended up doing. It was a lot of work, but I was able to get her done in about a year. And he's back. The government has allowed him to come back. That's wonderful.
Now your voice is back to the way it was before.
I apologize. I don't think Trudeau wants you to talk to me anymore, so we're going to have to do our best with that. Sure. So what I was saying about the paralegal program, so it takes about a year, and then you'll have standing in court, you'll be an officer of the court, and you definitely have access to things like property databases, driver databases. You have access to a bunch of stuff. So becoming a paralegal is a benefit for sure. How are you doing over there, True? Okay, so we're still working out some audio.
No, I got you. I got you.
If you want to keep talking.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and continue.
Yeah. So what I was saying about that is, we have a lot more.
Left off is you'll be a paralegal, I think you said.
Yeah, I want to take the paralegal course. We fight our own trespass cases. We argue our own trespass cases. It's not me. I've never been arrested yet. I will be. I'm sure of it.
Mm-hmm.
But my friend PC Audit, he has court this Wednesday, and he argued his own case. They end up throwing most of these out. But I really want to start learning how to argue these cases ourselves and find some lawyers who have the cojones to go against the government, because most of them don't. The government has long arms. They have a long reach. And you see what they did to doctors who spoke out against vaccines, what the Canadian government did to Jordan Peterson for speaking out against these compelled speech laws that they've been introducing in Canada. And so lawyers don't want to use the Bill of Rights. My mother is a lawyer, and I spoke to her last night for the first time in a long time, like years. I think I'd mentioned when you had your guest on, Adam, that my mother and I haven't spoken for almost 3 years. I'm
glad you reconnected.
Over vaccines and stuff like that. Well, it was my birthday yesterday, so she called.
Oh, happy belated!
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. And I was talking to her about the Bill of Rights, because she graduated with her master's in law, and she got some of the highest marks at Ottawa University in law. And she's like, she knew nothing about the Bill of Rights. She said to me that she thought I would get arrested for impersonating the press. And I'm like, well, no, I can't be. Yeah, no joke.
Okay, yeah.
She said like, I worry about you being arrested for impersonating a member of the press. I'm like, that's sort of why they call it freedom of press. That means you don't need a press pass. Anybody can pick up a camera and become press. So you see, that's even the way they're taught. And I know you're of the same opinion as me when it comes to our colleges and universities. Those are indoctrination camps, big time. They don't teach anything anymore. They teach you how to obey and fight against the freedom-loving folks in this country, such as me and Chris Guy and yourself, and probably most of the people watching.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, my experience in law school, that should be an entire episode, because not only was I attacked by my classmates because I was the only person of my culture and of my sex in that entire class, they tried to have me kicked out because I was too involved and too good, is exactly what happened. I had the top scores, all that kind of stuff. But I had half the class put a letter together complaining how they are unable to learn because I'm always answering the questions. And the teacher's always coming to me because my hand is up and I have a lot of interaction. I'm not joking. There's an entire letter that says he's too distracting because there's too much involvement with him and the teacher. It didn't work. But it did make me go through an entire process where I had to sit down and talk to the administration. I had to be called out in that fashion, and then I had to continue in that class for the rest of the terms, knowing 50% of the people here wanted me gone simply because of my performance in the class. And these are law students. Okay, these are law students, and a lot of them ended up getting their license and moving into law. The next big question mark I got in my legal career was early in 2020. We have to do these continuing development, professional development, CPDs. These are hours you have to do every year. You have to take a course in something to keep your skills up. They ended up mandating, without any discussion, all of us had to do an additional 4 hours of critical race theory training. So every single lawyer, every single paralegal in 2020 in the Law Society of Ontario, if you didn't take it, your license could be suspended. So we all had to go through 4 hours of critical race theory. And I was very surprised because this is the legal profession. And now we are being forced, we don't even have the choice, forced to claim we understand and agree with this CRT stuff. I had to check off a box that said, what's your race? And do you understand you're privileged? And I was like, wow, this is coming from our law society. So what chance do we have? What chance do we have when it comes to fighting this stuff in the legal system? If there's a whole bunch of lawyers and paralegals checking off these boxes that they do understand that CRT is a thing and they need to be respectful of it. And by the way, they do ask you that. They ask you your race as a lawyer, and not just your language, but your race. And why? Why, if it's not in order to indoctrinate or change the opinion or threaten the license of people that doesn't necessarily subscribe to the programming they're giving? So those two reasons, I was like, ooh, the Ontario legal system, it's broadened. There's a problem here. Right at the school level and right at the licensing level, there's this stuff going on, this woke stuff's going on. They're trying to get rid of guys like me, so at the school level, and then they're trying to reprogram guys like me at the license level.
Well, you see it all the time. Go down to Queen's Park. I'm headed down there later today. I'm actually gonna be auditing. I won't say it out loud.
Don't. Okay, keep us surprised. Well,
well, no, you know what? Police do watch my channel. Police follow my channel quite strictly. They will find out where I'm going. Like when I went to the Pickering power plant, I'm pretty sure they called the power plant and said, no, we know he's there because I did a live at the, and I said where I was. And so they probably called ahead stating that, you know, leave the guy alone because he's trying to, what they say is I'm trying to get a reaction when I'm actually going there, and I really don't want any reaction whatsoever. If they leave me alone, I consider that a successful audit.
Right. You're
not going downtown, and I'll be near the university. Yeah, I'll be near the university today, and it's scary, man. Those guys are unbelievable, the new students.
Yeah, no, and thank you for capturing that. And I'm going to kind of circle back to the parent boards, the school board stuff. So I think you've identified one of the grassroots entry-level places where we really need to focus. We really need to get parents back into the school boards. We need to elect them back in. We need to get rid of all of these current left-leaning, ideologically aligned members of the board. So now that you're exposing and you're getting into the school board more, what would you say to people who are kind of on the fence thinking about maybe running for the school board, and they're actually good people and they know what they're talking about? What would you say to those people that are kind of thinking about doing that?
If you got kids in school and you're thinking about running for the board, get off the fence. Just do it. What they lead you to believe in Canada and the United States is that the woke ideologies, the transgender ideologies, the LGBTQ indoctrination ideologies, all that stuff, they lead you to believe that it's the majority of people who are behind these ideas.
Correct.
Justin Trudeau called us non-vaxxers a fringe minority, and the trucker convoy, and we're not. You should see the amount of people that I run into that back up what we do, but they're too afraid to stand up and go for it. I think we outnumber the woke, and people just don't realize it, because you can lose your job. The loud minority can make you lose your job if they want to cancel you. You know, you can lose your children in this country, and I've seen it happen. What they'll do is they'll come and take your kids because you're teaching your kids that the government is bad. And that is a reason CPS will come and take your children. So if you're on the fence about it, just go and do it. Even if you don't have kids, go and do it. You don't have to have children in school to to care about children in school. And I don't have children, so the reason I put myself out there so frequently, and I'm right on the line, I will back up the not flying of the LGBTQ flags at our public buildings. I'll be talking about that on my channel very soon. People are going to try and get me canceled, and quite frankly, I don't care. Go ahead. And a lot more people need to have that attitude and just realize that you have a lot more backing than you think, because we are the silent majority. The people who are against all this, we are a majority. It's just they're very quiet about it because there are consequences for speaking your mind.
100%. And even these consequences don't necessarily have to be real. They can make up consequences. They can make things a lot difficult for you, even though you didn't do anything. You can then get wrapped up in the legal system when you were innocent, but now you're in the legal system, which can complicate things as well. For example, Tamara Lynch. So she got charged and she got put on bail, and all of these stuff is still pending. She hasn't been convicted. Nothing's been proven yet, but these are all pending. But because she's in the legal system, she now has things called bail conditions. And now these bail conditions list out a whole bunch of things that you can now get in trouble for if you do, which you didn't have as a free citizen before. Like, you can't associate with certain people. Well, because of these arbitrary rules that they put on top of her as she's going through the due diligence of being innocent until proven guilty, right? She now has other things that she can accidentally cause a new problem for her with. And that's exactly what happened. So she ended up taking a picture with somebody, with lawyers off camera, doing her best to, conform to her bail conditions. But that was enough to revoke her bail and drag her across country on a Canada-wide dangerous persons warrant, drag her out of her home all the way for Canada Day weekend to hang out in jail. Why?
I remember that.
Why? Because she's now involved in the legal system defending charges. And because she's now in the system, there's a whole bunch of ways to get yourself into other types of trouble, which can become other types of charges, which can become convictions that had nothing to do with the original activity you were accused of. This is what I want to highlight to people. Even though if you're an innocent person doing nothing wrong, there's a whole bunch of ways for you to get wrapped up in the legal system that end up bad for you. And Tamara is a very good example of that. I hope that they are successful at getting her freed, and then some sort of lawsuit against the government, and successful with that. Because what they did there was they created legal problems for her because she didn't start with any. And then those legal problems started to compound, and then they became real. And then, for example, you're now in front of the judge talking only about the bail violation, not what got you there to begin with. And then they're only judging you based on the bail violation and then convicting you. So this is exactly how innocent people get wrapped up in the legal system. And I really want you to be careful. I think what you did was wonderful when they gave you your final option, which was walk out or handcuff out. You made the right choice at that point. And then following up, I think is what you did, which was awesome. You went to the council meeting and you shared your story. Oh, we didn't tell everybody. You actually got trespassed for a year, like actually trespassed for a year on that one.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening with that?
Well, so the reason I was trespassed is I posted a video. That's exactly the reason. It's written on the trespass order. So I can't use the library of Pickering for any reason or its resources. And the reason for it is my video was violent and threatening. And one of my friends, no joke, my video, and it was just a short 30 seconds. And what happened is it was that security guard talking. And my friend was showing me different effects he could add because I had no idea. I never even watched YouTube before January of this year. Oh, well, you know what? I did, but I just watched audits. I don't go around looking at cute cat videos or stuff like that. I don't care.
Fair enough.
But my friend made a video to show me the different effects he could put in, and there was an explosion, and it went subscribe.
And that's the violence?
Yeah. Oh, and there was a gun. It was an animated gun. It went patang, 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 and it said like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell, right? And they're like, you had a
hit the
gun.
bell, so that's violence. You hit the bell.
Yeah, well, it was shot with a little pop gun. A little animated gun came on the screen, and they said that was a threat. That was threatening and violent behavior. I'm like, that's called the freedom of expression. That was an animation, you know.
Well,
and so they trespassed me. Yeah. Oh my God!
They have pow pow all the time and bang and stay away from Batman in the back.
Yeah. Well, you should see all the Acme weapons I have in the back of my truck.
I got two
rocket I strapped to. I have a rocket on my back.
Yeah.
So I can catch that.
You started sounding like Elon.
But so they trespassed me. They were happy as hell to do it. That was the revenge of the librarians when they did that. That's what I called it. They were so happy. That guy came out and was like, here's your trespass order. And he was like basically dancing, handing it to me. And so what I've done is I went and spoke to City Council about it once. I tried to make a meeting with the mayor about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. And he still hasn't responded to me. I asked him about it at the last meeting I went to about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Actually, it was on the 23rd, so it was last week. And he said he would meet with me, but I warned him. I said, look, if you don't meet with me, I want this sorted out. I want that trespass gone. Otherwise, I'm going to give intent to sue. And what I'm going to do, instead of hiring a lawyer, because I haven't found one lawyer that will sue a city or a police station, I'm going to file a small claims court case for $35,000, and I'm going to argue it myself and see. We're going to learn. We're going to see how it happens. I'll take advice from paralegals. I would love suggestions. I'm looking for paralegals.
Yeah. Okay. So being a paralegal licensed in Ontario, I would recommend you don't do that. Okay. You're going to be thrown out as a frivolous lawsuit very quickly, and that won't help your path. File a motion to challenge the trespass order. It's very quick. You can be in court within weeks. It's a very quick session. It's about 30 minutes. You will argue your side of it, and then they have to respond. If they don't show up, the court will order it vitiated or voided. And then when you do that, you take it back every time they threaten you. You say, you want to do this again? You want to write one of these again? They'll be thrown out again. You could be in court within weeks if you do it that way. If you do the filing of the lawsuit, it's going to be years before even a decision comes down, if it's not thrown out already, because it would look very vexatious and frivolous.
The vexatious thing, you got it. You can be thrown in. That's a criminal criminal code violation too. Filing vexatious and frivolous lawsuits. They can put you in jail for doing that.
It's very difficult for them to prove that. It's very difficult. I don't know of anybody that's ever been successfully charged and convicted of vexatious litigation. However, it is one of the things on the books.
It's usually the people that claim that the laws don't apply to them and blah, blah, blah. Even what I was talking about with the inherent courts, it's very touchy. It's a very touchy subject, and the way you have to go about it has to be very well thought out.
I think you would be successful arguing a motion. I think you would be successful.
Because I would like to talk to you more about arguing filing a motion, because I don't want to sue the taxpayers. I'm more
this is a good way to do it.
in making changes. Yeah. So I would like to, you know what, when we're done another day, I would love to go over that with you, and I'll just figure out the process, and I will start filing those.
Well,
oddly enough, after conviction.
Yeah, I got to file a motion in Ontario court in the next 2 weeks. So when I'm done that, I can fire you my template. You can change some stuff, and we can chat about that. But I think that's your quickest path to an answer, because your trespass is a year. You won't be in court within that year if you go the other way. Your trespass will expire. And then by that time, I can tell you the courts will likely throw it out because it's moot. We just saw this happen with Peckford. Okay, so Peckford, he filed a lawsuit to help us with the vaccine stuff, the mandate stuff. And because the government removed the mandates while the court case was happening, the court case was thrown out because it was moot at that point. There's nothing to fight. So that's why the court threw out his court case. It's still being challenged, by the way. Keith Wilson and others are still working on that one. But that's exactly what I think a Pickering court might do to you, or Ontario court. If it's after your period of trespass. They'll say, well, you can go back now, so why are we here? The quickest way will be a motion. The judge will have to look at the evidence quickly, and the other side will have to quickly explain why they think it has to hold up. And then you'll get a decision on the spot. And I strongly believe if what you said was clearly articulated in that letter, and that is the reasons for the trespass, you will be successful. I don't even think a lefty judge would hold this one up.
No, they better not, right? And so, Mike, I have a question for you regarding the motions, because can you, let me think, even like if I'm, how would I word? Okay, well, let's state the Peterborough Police. They put up signs at the edge of their property stating you cannot film on their property. And I have a real problem with that, because police redact and erase their footage of they don't even record audio. So they can be all sorts of jerks to you. They can intimidate you, threaten you, and you have no way of recording that. And they say it's under the Trespass to Property Act, where they made the activity prohibited within the station. But that's a public lobby, and you have the right to film police in the course of their duties. You have that right. It's a guaranteed right. And it's been, like, they don't argue with me much. The police now, they ran from me yesterday. But when you go into the police stations, they will trespass you from a police station. And I don't see how that's even possible. So that motion, that would be an easier way to argue those cases then, wouldn't it?
Well, that one I think would be tough, because you need to be a party. You need to have a reason. So if they actually said to you, you can't, maybe. But if it's to the public, it would have to be a couple media organizations that say that they're parties to it and that their rights are being violated, and then maybe you can bring that one forward. That one would be a lot more tougher. I do want to remind you of a couple things. So we have freedom of press, right? You're allowed to record from public spaces. But in Canada, we're also a one-party concealed recording country.
Yes, we are.
So if you know you're recording and you are part of that recording, you don't even have to tell a single soul that you're recording. So there's really two ways to go ahead and go about that. There's the public way, where you're showing them, I'm publicly recording you because I have this right. And then there's a private way. And Canada has the single party recording law. So you only need one person on the recording to be aware of it. So there's really two ways to go ahead and capture that stuff.
Good. That's I've thought of that one as well. That's why I record all my telephone conversations with them. I won't say a single word to an officer without having a recording device on me, because they can twist your words very quickly, and you can end up in jail faster than you can blink your eyes and say boo.
100%. And when you're privately recording, or they don't know, you'll get the real things out of them. When they see the camera, then they certainly turn into a different mode, where you may not capture what they're really trying to do there. And this is something we learned from Pastor Adam last week, because he records everything. He's a disabled gentleman who has a lot of encounters with authorities, and because of his disability, he can't take notes. He physically can't take notes. So he has always carried a recorder on him to record everything. That's just his way of documenting and note-taking. And because of that, he's got lots of audio of things that will make people cringe. And now he's going to try and work with that and do something with that, which is great.
I watched that show, and I watched that whole show with Adam that was your last show, right? It was just on Friday.
It was Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. And I told him, send me some of that, and I'll get it out there, and we'll let the court of public opinion see. Because I'm getting more and more popular, and there's very few people like me in Canada. There's not many people that audit. There are a couple of cop watchers out there. I'm one of the very first, not the first, I'm one of the only active auditors right now. And in the entire country, man, people don't go into the buildings anymore because they keep getting charged with trespass. And it's a pain in the butt to fight those charges. And I would love to get some of that out there too. If he ever wanted to make it public one day and wanted to figure out how to do it, man, my email is always open for stuff like that. And I would figure out how to green screen myself in and talk about it and explain what's happening, because there is so much overreach, especially on the medical side of our government. It's it's scary. It's actually scary.
For sure.
I haven't been to a doctor in 30 years. I went actually one time during the pandemic, and they wouldn't sew my thumb back on. I cut my thumb almost completely off. It was hanging on by a little piece of string or a little piece of skin. And I stood there in the hospital for about 2 hours, and instead of helping me, because I wouldn't A, wear a mask, and B, I wouldn't be vaxxed. Instead of helping me, they sent a janitor over with a mop to clean up the blood around me as I stood there bleeding. And I cut myself bad. And your thumb, you can die from cutting your thumb deep enough. Oh, this guy's pretty big.
Loss could be
Oh,
big.
give me one second.
Yeah.
That makes my truck could fit underneath that one.
So what we'll do is we'll switch to the crowd now, because there's a whole bunch of chats.
Sure.
I haven't been putting the chats on the screen right now. So if you don't mind, we're going to go jump in there and see if there's some questions.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
everybody listening, if you have a question for Truth about this stuff, go ahead and throw in the chat, and we'll try and get to it right now. Prairie has provided the link to your video. So everybody go check that out. The City Council meeting, Prairie provided that link. And I also want to mention to you, True, I know you're not a very technical person, but if you can get yourself onto my Discord server, that's where we do things like collect video, put it all in one spot, and try and do something with it. So this could be a good place maybe for Adam and you.
Yeah, I'd heard about it last week, and I haven't figured it out yet, but when I get a day off, I will.
For sure. Get yourself in there. It's very easy. It's you just chat with people, you share files, there's rooms that we get into and talk about subjects. So go get yourself in there, and you'll find Adam there. He's there.
Oh, good.
Ellen, remember back in the old days when all this was in cheesy movies? I'm not sure what we're talking about anymore there, Ellen. I think we kind of lost where we were there. Oh, by the way, I do want to say to everybody, my chat's working today. The Adam video, at 42 minutes into the video, my chat got shut off by YouTube, and they put a vaccine warning underneath my video. So I wasn't ignoring any of you on Friday. I actually made the comment that I thought you guys were all captivated because no chats were coming in. But when I looked at it after Friday, it was cut off at the 42-minute mark. And right at the 42-minute mark, just before, like the minute before, it was talking about vaccine with babies. And I think that was a trigger. But anyways, just letting you guys know that I didn't ignore your chats.
Good old YouTube, eh?
Yeah, no kidding. Fun stuff. John here, one of our big followers. The camera never lies, but it doesn't get the whole story either. Images and audio can be manipulated when the stakes are high. And John, you were right about that. It's a good start. It's a good start. Like if we have the argument about the authenticity of the video or audio, I'd rather have that argument than have no audio or video to argue about. And also, John, I think with AI and deep fakes, this is going to become a bigger and bigger problem. There's going to be videos that are edited against us to look really bad, and there will be videos that we're trying to capture that will be challenged as fake because they show really, the truth. So there's going to be challenges we run into, John. Do you want to mention anything there, Truth, about that?
AI can actually make a video of you. All you have to do is enter some voice into the AI, a voice sample from the subject. I think it's a 30-second voice clip from the subject that you want to recreate and their picture, and AI can sit down and make a completely different video about what you said. They can make you say something completely fabricated with that AI technology, and I believe I'm with Elon.
Oh, he's talking about too much AI technology. There he goes. He's back.
Back again. Hey, there we are.
There you go. They're getting us.
And I have to turn my headset off and back on real quick.
No problem. And then Prairie makes a good point here. It's not law enforcement anymore. They're now feelings enforcement. Prairie, you're not wrong about that one. Absolutely.
Yeah, Elon Musk, he's not afraid of nuclear weapons. He's afraid of AI, and I am too. Yeah. It's too much. I'm scared to death of it. And what they're showing us right now is got to be probably the tip of the iceberg as to what they've actually gone and done with AI. And I've seen, I'm afraid of it. I think it'll be used against people as well. So.
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time in it. It's best to understand the enemy. It's best to understand the tools. It's best to understand all of that. I'm a Microsoft partner. I have access to a bunch of stuff. So I'm bringing that back to you guys. In my first episode, I think I covered ChatGPT a bit, the concerns, things it can be used for, et cetera, et cetera. I'll do an entire episode on AI at some point, and I'd love to have you back on that one. Ellen is laughing because impersonating the press like they are a government authority or something. Yeah,
it was a concern my mother had. Yeah, that was a concern my
Yeah.
mom had, but she wasn't 100% on it. She's not practicing law right now. She's an elderly lady. I hope she doesn't watch and hear that, but she doesn't much care for what I do. She doesn't like what I do at all.
Well, that's because she's comfortable with her picture of the world right now, so she's comfortable with that. Yeah. But maybe what she was getting at is if you had like a CBC badge and you're saying you're CBC, then yeah, okay, I can understand. But you don't do that. You're independent.
No.
And you're clearly labeling yourself as independent without having labels on you.
I don't even identify myself as a member of the press. I say I'm an independent journalist and I own a media company, and that's what I tell them. I avoid the word press like the plague. So.
Yeah, and I do the same thing. So when I go to, I say news and media, independent news and media, and nobody's bothered me with that. John, yes, the election is today. So this could be a D-Day for Canada. So yes, the Alberta election is tonight, John. Yes, John. Okay, Jace is busy. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Jace is busy. He'll be doing election coverage today. Yes, John, tonight. Go look. It's already on my YouTube, 6 p.m. We're doing the coverage live. So, and this is kind of like a Yellowhead Yacht Club thing. There's going to be so many panelists, so many guests tonight, John. So come check it out. And if you're wanted to, John, I can probably get you on there as well. Oh, look at that. Prairie's lighting, John. No. Yeah, absolutely. And for everybody, coverage starts at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So there'll be 8 p.m. if you're in Ontario. And that's it. That's the end of our questions. And we got a big thumbs up from Prairie. So, John, let's go ahead, or not John, Rick, let's go ahead and wrap this up. We got a few minutes left here. I think what I got from this is super inspired because people like you have recognized that auditing, civil rights activists, getting involved with the legal system, maybe doing things like motions, maybe learning paralegal, really, really taking the legal rights stuff seriously and understanding it is a wonderful step. This is why I wrote my book. So Bearing Witness is all about this. It's all about how to properly go ahead and do the witness role without allowing yourself through your emotions or biases to change that role into a protester or something, because your entire purpose there is to capture, record, report. That's kind of where I'm going with that. I really loved how you touched on don't just complain, but go through the process, file the paperwork, file it properly, get it in there. That's 100% what I say in the book as well, because I believe even though the system's flawed, we can still try and leverage it. We have to get into the machine. We have to file some paperwork. We have to get in front of judges. We have to articulate our situation. And I really, really believe that your motion on this trespass will be overturned and you'll be successful with that. So I want to just leave one more message out there from my side that people like Scott, I'm looking at you, Mayor of Alexandria. This is the type of thing you need to be doing because this is the type of truth that we're not going to get any way else. So go ahead and go ahead and let Canada know why you're spending your time, your freedom, potentially your money. You might have fines. You might have to take time off work. You're doing all of this for us. Go ahead and encourage others to step up.
Yeah, I think people should. My email is always open. Toronto's a huge place. I work with other people whenever the opportunity arises. It gives their cameras more than one angle. It's more of you can fight back a lot easier when you have more than one camera angle on something, because you might be able to edit your own video, but when you got two different angles and they're both saying the same thing and it's immediately after the event took place, it's really hard to argue. And what I'd like to say to people is just learn your rights. Start with the auditing channels. The auditing community is doing a hell of a job out there teaching people their rights, how to deal with the police. I'm trying to what I started my channel to do was to make, like, it's actually written in my description, I think, is I want to make sense of our deliberately confusing government offices.
Yes.
And how the people take that back. As the government's not going to give it back to us because a few people complain. We're going to have to take it back, and we're going to have to do it in the courts. We're going to have to do it with our cameras. The camera is deadlier than the gun. It shows a lot. So. And take them out. If you ever see anything wrong happening, take your camera out and record it. If you think a government official is giving you a hard time, bring a camera or bring a micro cassette recorder and record it and get it out there for the public to see. It will wake more people up than you could ever imagine. And for some reason, these videos go incredibly well on YouTube. People love this sort of thing. And it wakes others up. So just get out there and record. Don't be afraid of your camera. And don't be afraid of what people say to you when you're recording, because it's your absolute right to go out and record in public.
Absolutely. And freedom's worth fighting for at all costs. So thank you very much.
Amen.
The camera is a great equalizer, and I would love to see nothing more than more and more auditors out there across Canada, and I'm happy to support them. So thank you very much. And if you guys want to support True North, if you go to some of his videos, there's a PayPal link down there. I'm pretty sure he uses it for his cameras and other equipment. So if you want to support his activities, please go ahead and donate through PayPal. Thank you, True.
Gas is $1.60 a liter.
A little bit cheaper in Alberta, but you have yourself a great day. I'm glad nobody hit you on that road, and we were able to make this happen. Thank you so much, True.
Good.
For being here today.
I'm glad too. And I'll be reaching out to you regarding those motions.
For sure. The next couple of weeks, I'm writing some, so that'd be a good time to hit me up.
Excellent. Okay. Thanks for having me.
Take care, True.
I'm gonna get out of here. Okay.
Yeah. You stay safe. Bye.
You too. It's
Oh, sorry, cut him off there. There's a small delay between my buttons and his voice. So, True, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Pretty sure he said, thank you very much, Jason. You too. You have a great audience. And I do. Well, folks, we ran a little bit long. We had some technical difficulties. But as you can see, we're talking to Canadians wherever they stand, and we're getting the messages out wherever they are. Thank you all so much for being here again today. Do tune in about 10 hours. I'm going to be back on here doing the election night coverage. We got Andy Lee joining us. We've got Gov Corrupt coming back. We got some other special guests, and we also have a message out to Danielle to see if she'll jump in. Subscribe now. That's wonderful. Ali, thank you all very much. We went a little bit long today, but I think it was worth it. You have yourself a great day. And remember, God bless.